This is a quick demonstration of a bug with the ATR that is not starting engines. So I think this happens because of incorrect handling of ground power. So if we take here the ATR 42, I am at Mayap in the Bahamas on a ramp, parking spot 4, that doesn't have ground power. And I will show you what will happen. So here we are in the plane. I'm using the debug tools to check for the different systems. So here we can see the electrical system with the main battery, and we can also see external power. So here at this parking position we don't have ground power, but the fact that it's shown here in orange means, I think, that the plane is connected to the inexistent ground power. So because otherwise it would be gray. I will show that later. So what happens now if we switch on the plane? So I switch on the main batteries. We can see that, as expected, the battery is draining. So this would be the moment where you either go into hotel mode or switch to ground power. So now let's look at the ground power. We see the available lights, they are off, but that's because I haven't switched on the GPUs in the EFB. So I switch them on now. We can see that this doesn't influence the availability of ground power because that's probably handled by the sim. So ground power is not available. But when I switch on the two ground powers in the EFB, I see available in the cockpit, which is not true because in fact we don't have ground power. So even if I switch those on, you will see that nothing changes. It's just discharging. Once this reaches a critical level, we will not be able to start the plane anymore. So now if I am busy setting up my flight, programming the computer, and then come back to start up the first engine, I will not have enough battery capacity basically because the plane tells me I'm on ground power, but I'm really not. So let me skip forward to when this happens. Okay, here we are back. About 5 minutes later, we can see that now the battery has dropped battery voltage to a critical level. This is also indicated on the MFD. You can see it's red now, 7 volt, and that's when you will not be able to start the plane anymore. Let's try here. It's not starting because of low battery, even though we are connected to the ground power according to the plane, but not according to the sim as we just saw. So the real problem is that this here in the EFB will only switch on the available lights, but it doesn't change anything for the actually available power because the sim itself does not provide any power at this location. So normally what should happen is that either you're not able to request ground power because there is none, or if you do, it should show unavailable here. It shouldn't show available. If you ever are in this situation and you have already set up your whole plane, what you can do is go into the debug menu, and inside the debug menu use the enable components edition so that you can change these values and you can just fill up your battery again. Double click and say 100 and your battery is full again. You can try another start attempt, and now we can see that okay, this didn't work. Maybe I was a bit too fast. You can see that now the engine is starting properly. Okay, so just for comparison what it should be, I will go into the normal A320 So here we go, stock A320, not the fly-by-wire or Phoenix, but the one included in the sim. Same parking at the same airfield or airport. Okay, here we are loaded in the sim. We see the battery. Let's switch on the batteries. We can see, as expected, the batteries are discharging, but we can also see that external power is gray because it's not available and we haven't tried to connect to it. And when we try to do, we can also see that external power is shown as not available, which is correct. If I try to click on it, it will request the power, but it will not get it. So that's why it's in orange. So that again shows that the ATR is always connecting to ground power, even if it's not available, but the sim is not giving the power. And just as a last demonstration, what happens if we are at the correct stand with ground power. So here we will be at the same airport, but a different ramp that has ground power in the ATR again. And we see that we have external power available. Not only is it available, but it's already connected, even though I haven't touched anything in the plane. So that's what I mean when I say that the ATR is always connecting to ground power, even if it's not available. Whatever I have here selected only influences the state of the buttons, but not the actual connection. So if I go here, it will not be available, of course. If I click here, it will be available. And we can see that the battery is not discharging. I can also take away the GPUs in the EFB, but again, this doesn't have an influence on the actual electrics behind. It just removes these lights, right? And the battery is still not discharging, although it should, because you are not connected to ground power according to the EFB. So there's really a disconnect between what the sim is giving the plane and what the ATR cockpit is telling you it is doing.